What do you know about your workplace that you are not supposed to know? I work in education. My former chairman allowed a female employee to embezzle money from the school. I found out and blew the whistle. I assumed the woman would be fired and the chair would be demoted. Instead, the woman was asked to quit and given a package. And the chair stayed in his position because of his status as a coach. He proceeded to make my job very difficult for the next 5 years until he gave up the chairmanship to someone competent. The woman was his work wife and mistress, who also used to be his student at our school. This gets wilder with every line. Edit S. Casino worker. There are a disturbing amount of suicides that happen on property. Almost none are reported to the public. Look behind toilets often and you'll find drug spoons. Watch the table games on Friday and Saturday nights. By week 4, you should be able to locate the prostitutes and Johns. 10+ years and don't miss a fucking thing. I know the key code to a storeroom I'm not really supposed to. I use it for naps. I was going to say the exact same thing. Once, instead of receiving my paycheck, I received a file containing every paycheck of everybody in the company. Thus, I knew how much money everybody were making, what benefits they had, etc., including the CEO and high management. And he is now writing this from his yacht somewhere off the coast of Taiwan. Edit. For the people wondering why Taiwan, it's because Taiwan has no current extradition treaties with the US. My boss is sleeping with HR head and they're both married, not to each other. Report it to our. Oh wait, the CEO does coke before public speaking. Regular, diet, or zero. My boss stores beer in the server room because the temperature is always kept cool. Now that is genius. Is that for the team or just the boss? There is a beer crate in his office that's supposedly for the team, but alas it's always empty, haha. The bedbugs in the hotel beds are not isolated to one room anymore. Scariest thing in this thread. The admin password for our laptops. The IT guy from 4 years ago never changed it. For my last job, under no circumstances are you even to look at what's going on in the other half of the plant. What was going on? They were building an automated side. Got replaced by a robot a year later. They're slowly replacing machines at the factory I work at with automatic machines. They take up more room currently but do the same work as 4 machines in one. And use 1/6 of the people. This factory can't keep people because society is changing and nobody wants to work 12-hour shifts. 2 days one week, 5 the next. Rotating. I'm less than a month away from quitting and I can't fucking wait. The pay is the only thing that would keep me, but it's literally making me suicidal. My dad retired from there and my mom still works there. And like other people say in the plant, I'm not gonna be a lifer. The reason my boss won't replace the aging fleet of company cars for people below him is because he wasn't allowed to get the car he wanted, and now he's pouting and nobody is getting new cars. A Jeep Patriot isn't supposed to live to 200,000 miles. Do you work for NCR? Is NCR cheap like that? I mean, I walk by their shiny new HQ over here regularly. And they don't look like a cheap company. They have incredibly poor communication throughout upper management and are constantly in state of change. Service techs were told no raises from 2008 to 2012 because of the economy, yet they still paid the CEO Bill Nudie $15 million a year along with massive bonuses. Your typical greedy corporation. The boss masturbates weird stuff sometimes at his desk and almost always takes a nap after lunch. I've also seen him drinking beer for breakfast. Edit. Guys, it's me. I'm the boss. Are you self-employed? Time to give my boss a hand. Not a current job but at a past job. My manager quit and the CEO gave me access to his emails so I could find information about how to do projects he only knew about. I started looking for all the salary information from all the co-workers on my team as found out I was being paid significantly less than the person who previously had my position. I went and negotiated about a 40% raise with the CEO based on that information. How smooth was that conversation? I didn't tell him that I knew about the salary stuff. The manager left right when I was due for a raise anyway. Plus, with his departure, I took over a lot of work but was not made manager. I started about 25% higher than I thought I was going to get. He told me he couldn't go that high, obviously, and we settled on an amount about 10% higher than I thought I was going to get. So I was pretty happy with it overall. That company was terrible to work for and our department wasn't valued at all. Purchasing and transportation, I paid for myself every year with what I saved the company. They paid dock workers more than me, even with the raise, and I was handling over $1 million in capital on a monthly basis. I ended up leaving about 6 months later when I was passed up for the management position where I was told I wasn't experienced enough and he promoted someone who was less experienced than me to the position. The reason there's high turnover is because management fired the one competent manager for being too kind. Don't you hate this? Why do so many establishments have to be total dicks to their employees for no reason? Like if you have a family emergency and get someone else to cover your shift, but they won't hear of it and demand you come into work, even though you secured coverage already. I worked for Shoe Carnival for about 3 weeks in high school. Besides the countless pointless rules they had, I left because I tried swapping a shift with a coworker because he wanted Thanksgiving off to visit with his family, and I didn't want to work Black Friday. And even though we gave plenty of notice, they said no, without reason. So, I just didn't show up at 3 a.m. or whatever it was for those assholes. There's a saying something like people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. My office purposely messes up people's wages to see if A, they're honest about receiving extra, or B, they can save money by not paying it all. It's such a scum thing to do. Just glad it never happened to me. That must be illegal. At least I hope it is. I received too much at my first real job and that was my first real paycheck. Didn't really notice. Thought it was something with before and after taxes. After 2-3 months I caught on that this wasn't supposed to be this high. Reported it and they allowed me to keep the money already received and gave me an official raise in order to avoid having to lower my pay. That was generous of them. Only one of the security cameras actually works. The rest are for show. Edit. Morning grammar. Also, at a credit union I worked at, I knew both halves of the combination to the vault. Those security cameras did work for sure though. Second edit. Guys, I work in a call center. There's nothing to rob except extremely outdated computers. I work in security, CCTV. You'd be surprised how many dummy cameras and intruder alarms we sell. Everyone's passwords. We store them in clear text. It's horrifying. Edit. It's not seeing the passwords themselves that is awful, you donkeys. It's the fact that is a security time bomb. When requesting a new keycode to the alarm at a previous job, I was forwarded the entire list with everyone's code, including the backup keycode for the lock. I'm pretty sure I could walk in at night, key in the CEO's key, and walk out with literally everything of value. That at my zero drug tolerance workplace, the CEO's executive assistant and the head of HR do coke on weekends together. So I know when they're not going out that weekend there'll be a workplace drug test the end of the next week. That's really fucking convenient for some. My boss has been banging the secretary, who is married, for years. And it's a secret that the secretary's first kid, 14 is my boss's biological child. My boss is also married with kids. This shit is so terrible. How can these people live with themselves? I've just had some acquaintances go through a similar thing, except it was the guy's wife sleeping with his brother and finding both his kids are actually his brothers. It astounds me how shady people can be. Old job. Those shiny new fume hoods and laminar flow cabinets didn't actually have working vents. That seems like something the government should hear about. Those things aren't just for decoration. Actually, I've seen a fair number of biotech startups that will build out a lab for show while working to get more venture capital invested in their business. They usually have a smaller, dirtier workspace that's actually being used, often have their fanciest equipment in the showroom, and usually allow a limited amount of work to be done in that room, monsieur. If the fume hoods aren't actually needed in that room, they for sure won't go through the expense of hooking them up. That's about $50K plus of infrastructure that investors won't be seeing. At a place that I used to work, I was the only person with any IT smarts. I set up a spam filter to forward to my inbox any, maybe emails that get caught, which I would then look at and forward on if they weren't spam, monsieur. On 2 occasions I was forwarded an email receipt for Viagra which one of my colleagues had purchased with his work email address. I just deleted them rather than forward on because, well, because it's just easier that way. I bet he works hard. My boss is faking a recovery program. Hit her ex-husband with a car, and is never going to change or get fired because she's the owner's daughter who can't do anything about her. I mean, if she gets arrested. There is a removable panel in the restroom that allows access to various pipes in the wall. It also allows you to perfectly hear meetings in the superintendent's office. I've learned lots of juicy things I'm not supposed to know about. Edit. Due to demand, I will tell some of the stuff I learned. 1. Some coworkers were having sex on company property on company time. They thought management wouldn't find out. Management found out. 2. My top boss has anxiety and would practice his speech to my direct supervisor before giving it to everyone. 3. My boss isn't nice behind closed doors. I heard him talk so much shit about my coworkers. We want the juicy stuff, asshole. Spill the beans or I'm telling the higher-ups. My former boss, who is married, had sex in his office with multiple employees. Shit leadership skills. He came from a naval background, didn't have a bloody clue what he was talking about unless it was Navy stuff. Office supervisor had fuck buddies in the office. He would let them get away with murder in exchange for sexual favors. He would always talk about how much he got paid compared to everyone else. Never wanted to help anyone or give a shit. The entire department is a complete shit show. The good bunch of people who made the place decent either left or constantly got fucked over. Hard workers never got a thank you. My boss's boss doesn't flush, pees on the toilet seat, and doesn't wash her hands after using the bathroom, monsieur. Unfortunately, I know this firsthand. Edit. Apparently this knowledge is not as common as I thought. Some women cover the seat in toilet paper and then sit down, and some just squat or hover over the seat to avoid touching it. The squatting technique is not always successful because sometimes pee sprays. You're welcome. Also, I know a way to enter the building easily after it is locked up at 10 p.m, monsieur. And I once accidentally saw the salary of a division head instead of mine. In USD it would be about $26,000 gross per month. Not really something I'm not meant to know, but more something the public aren't meant to know about. An old place of work. The vegetarian roasts aren't vegetarian. We found out something similar at my work. I'm a cook for one of the food courts at a major university, and we have a food section that is ran by a very well-known franchise restaurant that serves burgers, pancakes, wraps and milkshakes. We found out recently that the veggie burger that we were told were 100% vegetarian and had been advertising as such as beef broth. We serve a large number of people who are vegetarian for religious reasons, and a large number of our employees are also vegetarian. People were pissed and threatened to sue the school. We ended up closing that food section down until the franchise owner agreed to alter the menu and take the veggie burger off. A good thing came out of it though. There is now a food section that I run and cook for that serves made from scratch vegetarian, vegan and kosher, halal meals. Someone has been stealing things from everyone's desks in our office. I set up a Teddy cam on someone's desk, with their permission, to find out who was doing it. Turns out it's the owner of the company. Edit. Since a lot of people are asking, I confronted him about it in private. Over the course of 2 to 3 months, the majority of things started reappearing and the stealing came to a stop after that, at least for the most part. Occasionally something would go missing, but it wasn't near as often. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.